This is where it's at.
Preparing for second stage separation. And first stage separation. Switching to manual flight controls.
Ryan.
Hello, Trey.
I've got some great news for you.
You do. I can tell. You jumped right in here.
I really need to get this show going, all right? We need to take it to the next level.
You mean episode 29?
Yes.
Or just
29.
in general?
In general.
Oh, in general.
We need to blow up worldwide a little bit quicker because I just found out that Sofia Vergara is about to go get a divorce.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I mean...
This is my window of opportunity.
I mean, I'm glad you're excited, but I really thought they were really good together.
Yeah.
What's his name? John Mangiano?
Yeah, whatever. He's no longer in the picture.
You're already upset at the ex.
Yeah, I don't care. So...
Wow, really?
Windows open for me.
He's a good
man. He's a good-looking man.
Good-looking man. Yeah. But he was one of the rivals to Alexander Skarsgård on True Blood. So I can't like him.
You can't like him too much.
But I made this about me. Let's go back to make it about you. You see this as a window of opportunity for what exactly?
I don't know, but damn it, I got to make a name for myself with this podcast. So to have a shot.
It's about notoriety. You think that Vergara? You think that if you are known, beyond our current circle of listeners, we can improve that. You'll have a better shot,
right? Because we'll get invited to the parties, the premieres, all that kind of good stuff.
Oh, I see.
So,
I see where your mind's at.
Red carpet meetings. So,
well, I had a admittedly selfish goal of giving my family lots of things in life and traveling and doing all these things. But now,
I need you to change that.
Now, everybody, we need you to listen longer and harder so that Trey can get Sofia.
Take a shot at Sofia Vergara.
That's right.
I wonder if I would have to take her last name. She's bigger than me, so.
Is she a tall woman?
Well, I mean, as far as a bigger star than me right now.
I see.
Just
I
for now,
thought she was like a tall. Like,
no, not. Well, she might be tall.
She might be.
So, but yeah, like Louis Vergara.
Would you if she said you need to take my last name?
Yes,
you do it. Okay,
absolutely. Heartbeat.
You answered that really fast. Well, good for you.
Louis Vergara or Trey Vergara? Which one rolls off the tongue?
Trey Vergara.
Trey Vergara. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. It sounds like a half Italian Euro kind of mix.
I can do that.
No? Trey Vergara.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cologne. The new Trey Vergara. That's what I was thinking of. Oh, Trey. All right. Let me go ahead and apologize.
Again?
We had just made some new friends. Well, I hope they may not think the same way. We may not be their friend. But last show we talked about Jim and Christina.
We did?
We did.
Okay.
And they are new listeners, hopefully. And I mentioned that on our social media, they were back and forth as a couple with their different accounts, like talking the topic was about celebrity crushes, and the woman liked the mustache. She liked Christina. Liked Sam Elliott and Tom Selleck. And the gentleman said that Tom Selleck was a dork, so he did not approve of that.
Because his little shorts.
And he likes, I forgot to mention, Jane Seymour, I think was one of his. Very attractive woman. And I forget the other one. But the apology it comes because for some reason I thought they were in Ontario, Canada. Do you remember I kind of made a joke? And
I do. They're not?
They're not.
Like in Wisconsin?
Well, they're close. They're in Ohio.
Ohio, nice.
Which I thought about, and it's right by the lake, which is right by Canada. So
yeah.
Come on. But it was, I think it was because and I'm not just saying this, we've had a nice uptick of listeners in Ontario, and I've noticed that. And so I think maybe it was on my mind or something. I have no reason. I have no
Canada
excuse.
was on the mind.
I have no excuse, and I feel bad. So
making up.
In response, Trey, Christina has said she has no idea about Tim Horton donuts. She said she did have it. They had one in Ohio, but she's unfamiliar with the history of the donuts. Of the donut there.
I forgive her.
So, but apologies to you guys. And just before we came on here, I was like jumping on just to check up on see if I needed to respond to anything. And they're currently like in a like a conversation on our page.
That's too fun.
About these celebrity crush. It's great. They're so much fun. I hope we can somehow maintain them as listeners.
I hope so too. We'll see.
And start spreading it in Ohio.
Yeah,
we already got Ontario covered. We need Ohio.
We need Ohio listeners now. Is that anywhere close to Iowa? Maybe.
No,
not at all.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. See what I learned in public school. So,
not geography.
No.
Okay. Well.
So Ryan, speaking of Ohio, I had a headline that caught me.
Oh.
And so I now realize the importance of headlines because based on the headline, the story doesn't match up for shit. So
you always find the good headlines.
Yeah.
Though. Okay.
So the headline was, pregnant woman killed by alligator after she hit it with her car.
What?
So I jump into the story because I'm thinking she hit the fucking alligator, gets out to maybe check on it, and then the alligator attacks.
That's what it sounds like.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Right. You get out of your car. You're going, but why would she check on it? I'd get the hell out of there.
Right.
But she's, oh no, maybe she was checking on her bumper or something, or like whatever.
I mean, after some of the crazy shit we hear, unfortunately, tragically, and it's kind of shitty thing that happened, but basically she hit the alligator and ended up rolling her vehicle and it killed her. So yeah, so sad story.
But that, you're right, that headline.
So yeah.
The headline got you.
Got me.
And then all of a sudden, yeah. I don't know if the story would have been better the other way. Like she gets out and this thing just. I mean, I feel like if you flip your car and die, that just sucks. I don't know.
Yeah, so as I got to read it, I was like, well, that story was not funny. It was a little tragic.
What happened to the alligator? I mean, was it a big enough alligator to where it didn't die?
Once I got to that point, it just.
You were not interested any longer.
Yeah. So I was like, well, definitely not a funny story, but yeah, it's a little tragic.
Yeah, that headline blows.
So anyway, yeah.
But you're right, though. I mean, I see headlines all the time, and people will call them out, like on social media, like, oh, nice clickbait or nice whatever, because that sounds like what that was.
Right.
Somebody going, oh, both of us were like, she get out of the car? What an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
I was like, this is fucking crazy. So yeah, that was interesting there.
Okay.
So.
Well, cool.
Hey, Ryan, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Where's the craziest place you've had sex?
Ooh, craziest place. I don't know if I should answer this. And the reason I say that is just because my lovely wife might eventually listen to the show.
One of these, and this will be the episode she listens to.
And that would probably be what she would listen to. Not that she would care. I don't know. I mean, I think there's been a few public places, but I'll go ahead and just leave it there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Maybe a couple that I could have been caught.
Gotcha.
If that helps.
Okay.
What about you?
Yes, I'll move into my next.
You're going to go ahead and just tell the story. Okay. This is leading somewhere. Where is this leading?
Okay, so I found a little story where NASA is actually reaching out for help, and reading into this, it
sexually,
says with this new area of space flight, David Cullen, who happens to be a professor of, and I don't know how I find these fucking words here, Bion analytical.
Oh, yeah.
I finally figured that word. You just kind of sounded out. Bioanalytical technology at Cranfield University.
Good job.
You like that?
Yeah.
I worked through that one. Is calling for urgent research into consequences of sex in space.
Oh, okay.
So they're claiming that, as far as we know, nobody's ever had sex in space, which is kind of interesting.
I don't know if I believe that. Really?
Yeah. it says
and
NASA.
all the space flights.
It was saying NASA categorically insists that no humans have ever had sex in space. So I'm kind of curious if that's true or false.
Yeah, I wonder if like there's a secret like affair.
Like, can you get in trouble if maybe you can get in trouble if you had sex on space?
Or maybe they don't think it's safety protocols, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So they're saying with the proliferation of space tourism, did I say that word right? Of space tourism, this could be set to change. So they're wanting to figure out if there's any consequences if you have sex in space.
So they're saying there's consequences to sex in space.
They're wondering.
This is intriguing. I'm interested.
It says while NASA doesn't explicitly ban sex in space, its astronaut code of conduct calls for relationships of trust and professional standards to be maintained at all times.
So it's just frowned upon.
Yeah. Says the space agency also banned any married couples from going into space together, although this is mostly due to group dynamics rather than worries of them having sex. So despite this, Professor Cullen, I should say, claims that sex in space will happen within the next decade.
Why is that? Why do you think?
Because of the tourism and everything like that.
The idea of
people paying
tourism,
to go up there and stuff like that. So
should we go on a intergalactic flight for the podcast
to figure out if we should have sex or what? No.
I mean, if they're asking for some sort of test dummy or something,
we can prove that we can cuddle in space.
How do you have sex in space anyway with no gravity?
I don't know, but that sounds
like with no gravity,
fun.
Right?
And I take that back. It sounds fun theoretically.
Yeah.
But I'm scared my anxiety would kick in, and I would be freaking out because I'm going upside down. Worried about puking all over the person or defecating myself. I don't know.
Okay.
Hopefully,
well, that took a turn.
Yeah. So that may turn her off. Yeah. If something like, especially if it's sitting there.
Well, maybe these are
floating.
Maybe these are some of the things that NASA is
trying to figure out. I'm kind of reading through this a little bit more. It says another issue would be trying to avoid hitting one's head, since again there's no gravity to prevent the partners to drift away from each other.
So there we go. Yeah. Okay.
And against the nearest obstacle with each movement. Can you imagine
how hard would they hit their head though? Can they put on their space helmets?
And I guess you're not worried about, if you're hitting the woman's head against the headboard, it's not a big deal. But now we're worried about that in space.
Yeah.
Is there no space headboard?
Well, here they're not. Or in the bed they're not liable. NASA's not liable.
Yeah. So basically, their main concern is the gravity. So I'm kind of curious how they're going to put this.
I hope their main concern on a lot of things is the gravity.
Yeah.
But yeah, this should be interesting.
And hopefully they post videos of this on Pornhub.
What is Pornhub?
You haven't been married long enough. You'll find out.
So wait a second. So have they given any kind of, I guess, methods? I'm very curious.
Oh my God.
Are there any methods to being able to have sex? Are they saying there's a way to do it? Because like you said, this gentleman's saying that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So are they giving like tips or...
Do they put like space swings up there to kind of hold down?
Right. I mean, is there a certain type of protection? Do you have a suit? Do you have a? I mean, is there?
That is interesting. Do you have to do it in the suit?
Right. That's the.
Or can you have your helmet on and you're just butt naked from the neck down?
Yeah. Put the helmet on. Then they won't worry about like bumping heads.
That'd be kind of cool. It also says you got to worry about bodily fluids would also quickly float away, which could be messy.
I got pregnant. I have no idea how.
It says blood circulation in space is also affected by the lack of gravity and could make it difficult for a man to get an erection. So it sounds like there's a lot of issues they got to figure this shit out.
Yeah. You could go up there a confident man and turn into a mess by the time it's all said
very
and done.
quickly.
Right.
So it should be interesting. I'm curious. Hopefully they keep us updated on this because, sex in space sounds pretty interesting.
Well, that may change my whether I want to go or not.
Yeah?
Maybe I decide to stay back until I can figure this out.
I'm not going to sex. I'm not going to sex shit. I'm not going to space until they figure out if we can have sex up there.
That's right. Because, and not for me, for everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to enjoy their time on vacation.
We're doing this for you guys.
That's right. Stay in the Gray Podcast will keep up on this topic.
Stay in the Gray Podcast will practice having sex at no gravity for you. Does that work?
Sure. Well, again, our famous segues. I'm going to go ahead and do one right here. from possible sex in space to
new one right here.
an issue in this country that's actually been really polarizing for a while, and it just kind of came out, I believe, a day or two ago. Really, a day ago was when I kind of saw all the headlines, and of course, you get a hold of a story like this, and it just spreads like wildfire, and it has to do with border security at our southern border here in Texas.
Gotcha.
Between Texas and Mexico, which essentially is the United States and Mexico.
Right.
And everybody probably already knows what I'm talking about, but there was a gentleman that came out by the name of Nicholas Wingate, and that's all over the place, so I'm not like outing this guy. He was a trooper medic from the Department of Public Safety, and he was kind of, I think he sent an email in, and he said, everybody needs to be aware of this, that this is going on at the border. And he just basically said that there were security, I don't know their terminology, whether they're agents or whether they're just border patrol or whether they're security, but they were the law enforcement, if you will. The claim was that they were shoving people back into the water as they were approaching, and they were telling them to return to Mexico, and they were not giving them any water to drink on these 108-degree days.
Yeah.
And then there's, of course, barbed wire and all kinds of stuff that's causing all issues because the river rises, and so you can't really see it. So as you're coming across and swimming, then you get caught in it. It becomes a big mess. And so everybody's, freaking out, and it's all about, being humane, and it's all about we've gone too far, but the border and those kinds of things. This was at Eagle Pass, which is the second most crossed spot on the Texas border. So Texas Governor Abbott, our governor, implemented a program called Operation Lone Star. And they're putting extra barbed wire. They're actually putting up these huge buoys that are like 6 to 8 feet tall, and chaining them to the bottom that won't allow people to. I mean, it basically becomes almost impossible to get over these things at this particular spot, because this is where it seems the easiest for people to cross.
On these buoys, you said, and I heard you say barbed wire. They're putting barbed wire on the buoys too, or is these in addition to the buoys?
In addition to.
Gotcha.
And the barbed wire is also a part of it, and. It also the program wants troops and aid and all these things from other states, leaders who believe in what Governor Abbott's doing, and so it's become this huge deal. And he blames President Biden, of course, for lifting Title 42. Do you know what Title 42 is?
Let's say I don't.
We'll
assume that.
Can you explain it in detail? I'm not going to explain it in detail, but it was basically something that was implemented during COVID to allow the United States to easily turn away anybody coming in based on safety concerns for COVID.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So President Trump was able to put this through a lot easier than anybody would be able to today.
Right.
Because it was a pandemic, and they were trying to avoid, they were claiming that it was on the grounds of preventing the spread of COVID. And so before, they could cross and ask for asylum and be allowed in, and then they were waiting out immigration cases, and then in those instances they were oftentimes released, and that was the whole issue, was that they were coming in, getting arrested, and then just being released. And that was
into the states.
Gotcha. Yeah, they crossed, they came in and claimed that they this and blah blah blah. And so Title 42 was implemented, and that was saying, and of course, again, it was because of COVID mainly, but it also apparently President Biden held on to it for a little while, and then did away with it. And so Governor Abbott's going, well, here we go again. From his side, he's saying, look, well, now this Texas border, which is my state, is now being having an influx of illegal immigrants cross. Apparently, there are 29 international bridges that you can cross legally and apply for whatever and do it the right way. And even if you were applying for as a refugee or whatever, if you're seeking asylum, you can go across these bridges. Well, they're not. And that's Governor Abbott's issue. And a lot of the people that support him and defend what he's doing are saying, hey, look, this is, they're not doing it the right way. Of course, we're going to put up some defenses and it cannot be an open free for all. And so before we get into that part of it, I just wanted to give kind of this is what's happening and this is what the accusation is. The few injuries they were using kind of to, I guess, enhance how serious this is there was a woman caught in the barbed wire in the water, and she was in absolute pain, and she was having a miscarriage.
I read about that one, yeah.
And my understanding is that they took her to the hospital, but I guess it's too late. I guess
that's what I've been kind of noticing. It seems like they've been trying to give aid,
but to a point, and sometimes they don't. And if it's something where like this, and it's really sad. I'm not sitting here telling these things like they're nothing. There's a 4-year-old, especially now that I have an almost 4-year-old boy,
right?
4-year-old boy. I think this one was a girl. 4-year-old girl that passed out from heat exhaustion, and they basically said, you need to go back you need to go back across. You're not coming in. And then there was a 15-year-old boy who broke his leg trying to cross the river, and I think that had something to do with where the barbed wire was, and he tried to get around it and probably got caught on something.
Yeah.
And his dad was with him, and they said, no, you take him back across. You're not coming in. And so, yes, those are horrible situations. And so the question is, and I guess that's where we go from here, is what's the right call here?
And that's what I was going to ask you, as far as what are we doing wrong where these people feel like they can come in drones, almost forcing their way through without any repercussion. So is it something that we're doing wrong? We're welcoming it too much? Is that a way to say it?
Yeah.
And on the flip side, no, I'm trying not to say it. On the other hand,
Trey's overanalyzing some of his phrases that he says.
Sorry.
He says on the flip side. I think it counts here. It's on the flip side.
On the other hand, what is going on that they're escaping from Mexico? Is it the cartels getting bad? What is it that they're trying to get away from? Is it they think more, probably more opportunity to work here and, better their lives, but why not just cross the bridge? I don't get it.
Because they'll probably, they'll be turned away you can't just because it's the bridge doesn't mean you're going to come right in. And that's kind of the problem, is that they're saying, well, we're not going to get in, so we have to get in this way.
Gotcha.
And the problem is that I don't know exactly what they're coming from. I know this country's great overall. Again, have issues, get it. But overall, it's great, and it's probably a lot better than where they're coming from. And it's not just Mexico. They're coming up from all these other countries
through Mexico,
south of Mexico, and they got to come up through there.
Gotcha.
Guatemala, I think, is next in the line. El Salvador, I think my geography's okay, but they're all coming up through Mexico, and then there's nothing for them there, and it's not much better.
So they're not seeking asylum in a country closer to where they're coming from. I guess they're going all the way up.
They're trying to go all the way, because there's no other country that is able to. Well, and a lot of people argue there's no other country that's as easy to jump into right now. Mexico, from my understanding, Mexico has a wall at their border, and it's hard to get in down there. But then they want to complain about us putting a wall up.
So I guess the people. I'm assuming there's the people out there that are welcome, bring them all into the United States, right? Because there's got to be that drastic side that says, hey, we should be letting them all in.
Right. So it is a political issue for sure.
So I guess if we had a gallon jug of water for them and some floaties and said, here, swim back out, that would be more of a humane way to get them back into Mexico. Right. And everything would be fine then at that point.
Well, yeah, and that's what some people are saying, is that, okay, we're on the side of strong borders, but this has it's crossed the line. It's become inhumane, and something like what you're saying, even if we're making jest about here's a bottle of Ozarka, and some floaties or kickboard or something to make sure you're okay.
A little jet ski,
but you have to go back across.
Right.
Is that going to be better? I think there are always going to be people that no matter what, I mean, there's plenty of people that don't want closed borders anyway, which I don't understand. This is one of those issues where we'll talk about it from both sides, but I've always said you can't have a strong country without secure borders. It cannot be a free-for-all.
So let me ask any of our listeners out there that want to open up the borders. Are you also opening up your homes to these people?
Right. And that's an argument that people will make, especially like the celebrities.
Yeah, that have walls up around their
and armed
their
security
estates.
Guards. They're against gun control and they're against closing the borders, but they have armed security guards and borders around their homes,
around their estates. Yeah.
Yes. So. And of course the joke is, well, you've got plenty of room, have some of them come there. Which is still, from a realistic standpoint, it's silly to say that. But is it just as silly for them to say it? Because, look, I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't want anybody to hurt.
Right.
I want people happy. I want, but it's never as simple as that in this world. It just isn't. And people get so upset. Well, you have no compassion. Well, I disagree with you. I do have compassion, but you just can't say, oh, you came over here and you got a boo-boo. Okay, come across the border and then boom, you're released and all of a sudden you're in the country illegally.
Right.
And then you'll have your baby here. A lot of these people that were lined up at the border have had infants that were nursing, and then a lot of them were pregnant.
Wow.
And they had all these things, and they're trying to make a better life for their kids. I get that, and I'm not opposed to that, but you need to do it the right way.
Right.
And there are people that I've talked to on both sides, and one of them, I'll just say it. Usually, the left side seems to be the more border open crew, and the right side tends to be stronger borders. And so the left side will come at me and they'll say, "Hey, it's just about compassion and love and all these things," and there's no plan because it's going to backfire. You're going to have drugs and weapons and all these things just coming over. Whoever comes over, the safety of our country. I don't mean to bring 9/11 into it, but back in the day, we got hit. People came across, they got through.
Didn't we train them?
And unintentionally train them how to fly planes. And so all of a sudden you're going, well, if it's relatively easy to cross and you can claim you're anybody. And if you're a legal immigrant, quote, immigrant, coming across our river, and all of a sudden you're in the United States, I mean, you could be from anywhere. We don't know who you are. And that's the problem. And, one of the things I will defend Trump with, what he was saying was that there's these gangs that the MS-13 that came across. Well, we're not making it very difficult.
Right.
And that's when everybody got all up in arms. Well, Trump says all the Mexicans are doing this. Well, no, that's not what he said at all. He said these gang members are doing this, and that's a fact. And again, not supporting and not defending Donald. But in this case, you have to be concerned about that at the border as well. If we knew for a fact that it was just these poor families that wanted to work hard and send their kids to school, and it may be a little easier to try and figure out, but it's not just that. And so you have to have some sort of regulations. You have to have, right? I mean, am I?
Well, and think about the people that live on the border in Texas.
Sure.
I mean, I can't imagine that they're happy that they're just letting them right through, or have that ability to come right through, because their families are living there, and you don't know what's coming through. I guarantee the people that are fighting to just open the borders up don't live on that border.
Right.
They probably live as far away from that border as possible.
Sure.
And yet they're, hey, just let them through. It's okay.
Well, and I'm guilty of that stuff myself. Not with this topic, but with other things. It's easy to talk about things you're not close to.
Right.
I could sit here and talk about how Australia should handle something, or New Zealand. I'm nowhere near there. And that's why I get so upset when they do the same to us. I'm like, you're not here.
Right.
All my UK friends, it's a different type of government over there, different type of politics, different type of social issue.
I was just going to say I have a friend of mine that was actually on the border, and I'd love to see if we could pick his brain.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, I would love to do that. If he'd be willing, that'd be great. And I understand if he doesn't, because it's such a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
But that's where you're getting some of this from. I mean, these people down there that live down there are just constantly, and I've heard these stories too. And some of them have come out, and I've seen them say it. It's not like this is hearsay or falsely quoted or something like that. These people are saying they're in our yards. They come through. They're dangerous.
Right.
Some of them have robbed and beaten and even killed. But they don't get, for some reason, it's not a huge story. And then you go, who do you believe? And I want the best possible way of entry for people who deserve it, and people who do it the right way, and people who truly want to contribute to our society, and people who want better lives for their kids. Problem is there's not a way to necessarily monitor that. You don't have a sticker on your shirt that says you're one of those things.
Yeah.
You could easily say, oh yeah, I want to have a better life for my kids, and you're part of the gang.
Right.
And again, people will say that I'm exaggerating that, but I don't think so. I think all it takes is a few people to come across and murder a bunch of people. And that's
scary.
Way more citizens in our country that I want dead.
Yep.
So
it's almost like you had to wait for something bad to happen for them to figure out a different way to fix it, you know? Although I guess the barbed wire is a little drastic. I'm curious how that came about. But the buoys and stuff like that, to discourage them trying to get across the water, I don't see a big deal with that piece of it, I guess. So,
but the barbed wire, and that's the thing is a lot of people are going, oh man, I really want strong borders, but like you're saying, barbed wire is a little much.
And I guess if the barbed wire is visible,
right,
to discourage you, okay, cool. If you try to climb over it at that point, well, then you're the fucking idiot. But if it's underwater, if it's hidden, I can kind of see it where that might be a little bit too much. I'm fine with having barbed wire all across it if it's it's visible, you can see it. Okay, discourage me, but
Well, and I'll play devil's advocate to your compassion there. They shouldn't be doing it anyway,
right?
So if you're crossing illegal and you're doing it illegally, and there's some barbed wire under the water, at what point do we say, well, I mean that you were there, you shouldn't have been there?
It's almost like when we talked about gun control as far as at the schools where we have an armed security guard at the front to discourage people from coming.
Right.
Well, does that mean we should also put landmines all the way up to, to say, oh, you came up, with a gun.
No, that's a good
You hit
point.
the landmine.
That's
sorry.
A good point.
So
it is. It's a good point. Because it is about being humane. It's about being just respecting human life.
Yeah.
And the fact that we should appreciate, of course, that you and I were born in this country, and everybody that's a citizen of the country should understand that there's a reason people want to be here.
Right.
Although there's plenty of people outside the country that are now bashing us, but they'd probably want to be here too if we dug deep down.
They're always going to bash us.
But you also have to respect. We have to respect our own country. We have to say, yes, we're very lucky, but in order to stay a great country, you have to have some of these things. You can't just say, all right, everybody come here.
Yeah.
It just can't work. It's like I say with guns. You can't just round all them up. It's not as simple as that. You have to come together, I guess kind of like we're doing, and say, hey, look, we haven't really offered solutions. We're just I'm just kind of going back and forth between the being compassionate and humane part of it versus being barbaric and saying, hey, fuck you, get out of here no matter what. And that's what they're being accused of with this email was
Gotcha.
Literally saying, throwing the little girl back in the water.
Right.
And them saying, can you just spare a little bit of water for us because we're thirsty? And them saying, no, you shouldn't be here. Technically, correct. They shouldn't be here. But again, where's the line? At some point, you got to say, hey, here's some water. Get your ass back over there. There's forgive me. There's a gray area here, Trey. And it's not as simple as close the borders or open the borders. There's got to be a lot of mix, and I don't even know where to begin. So,
and let me play the dumb co-host here. Are we the only ones that are very stingy about this as far as people coming across the border or something like that? Because I've asked friends as far as if I were to go to your country, how long would I be able to stay? Oh, well, it's only 6 months. As long as you're working, it's on this, that, and the other. So it sounds like other countries have this kind of stuff in place, which, was it Paris here recently heard about where they defund the police, and now they have people crossing the borders like crazy and just running amok. And so obviously I don't want that to be America. So we got to figure out that middle ground, right?
Right. And then, the countries over there like France, it's all a political viewpoint. And it's almost like I've been talking about, where it's gone so far this way and so far that way that people are going, watch this. We're going to welcome the refugees. They're going to come in and it's going to be great. And the other side's like, how dare you shut the border? Watch what's going to happen. And yeah, right now you're seeing a little bit of it backfire on the open border people. And I don't know enough about French politics and what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Except for that one story about the young man that was killed by the police, to know why they're having issues. But right now, the riots and things that are happening from refugees and from illegal immigrants, from my understanding. But UK, look, Great Britain was ready to kick my ass out after I did grad school there. I did. I had about a 4-month window, and they said, after that, you're out.
Yeah.
And supposedly, it's a little easier to get in if you do it the right way over there.
Right.
But it's just as, the borders, it's a big island. You can't just walk there. Here, it's a little different. And so people don't swim up on England. They don't allow it.
Right.
But we're supposed to. So it's you don't have this issue in the Canadian border. Canadians don't care.
That is interesting. Is it too damn cold up there for people to try to sneak in?
It's too cold to try and sneak in anywhere that's not a port of entry or a you know what I mean. So it's a whole big thing, and it's Governor Abbott in Texas is yelling at Biden, and I haven't honestly heard anything from him at all about this.
He's eating his pudding in in the Oval Office.
He could have made a statement, and I know Kamala did, Vice President, and
with cell phones these days, I can't imagine how there's no pictures of this, there's no videos of this. I didn't see that in the story anyway. So
they have some pictures of these people that are kind of walking in the water, and it doesn't mesh exactly with the claim. It's not like you see a video of somebody shoving a kid into the water,
right?
Or
the barbed wire.
Or the barbed wire. I don't see a woman there that's in pain on the barbed wire.
Yeah.
But they're showing the conditions. They're showing how they walk. They're showing pictures of the barbed wire.
Gotcha.
And so it's difficult because if you don't have the exact footage, you're going, well, is this legit?
Yeah. How really is it?
Who is this? Who is this guy? This Nicholas Wingate? Does he have an agenda? Does he?
Somebody piss him off,
right? Or in politics, is he a Texas Democrat? And he's like, I need to
let's stir
help
some shit up, yeah.
And that's the way to do it, because guess what? It stirred it up, and everybody's all fired up about it. And I don't know what the best thing to do is, especially living in Texas. Now we're quite north in Texas, and we're away from that border, but it's a mess. And so hopefully we can get a chance to talk with your friend who's experienced this firsthand.
And I guess Mexico really doesn't give a shit of all these people that's trying to get out, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? You would think that they'd you want to help, but it's almost like they get angry when they hear about these things. Well, this is your citizens. Well, some of them are your citizens, and you let these people somehow cross through your country. And that's what they say. Oh, well, we didn't, this doesn't happen in our country, and these kinds of things. But
they're trying to get the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't happen in your country because they don't want it. They're just passing through.
Exactly. So that was our update on the Texas border issue right now. And Trey and I will brainstorm together or separate about possible, maybe I just haven't come up with a solution, because that's not what I do. And that's not my field.
That's not how we roll.
That's not what our job description is. And but I'll think about it, because there's got to be something. And I thought, to me, it makes sense to have these 19 bridges, these checkpoints, if you will, to where people can come in. They sign a thing. They say, this is how we want to come in.
We put a tracker on them.
We put a chip under their skin and
a little stamp.
Right, and then and there's just got to be a way. Maybe we can build. This sounds silly, right? But maybe it's not. A little community down there for these people who are waiting, who are going through a process. Maybe everybody's got to go through some sort of a trial, not a trial, but like a
a process of
some sort, and through the court system and through these things and all the paperwork that's involved, and they can have a little community where they're not treated poorly. And so that was one of my ideas. Have a community, build something down there, have a little, not town, but it's just and I hate to say the camps or the, you don't want to make it's not like a camp. You don't want to make like some sort of you know what
we
I'm
don't
saying.
Want them to concentrate too much.
There you go. It's not that either. It's just here, you're going to go here for now because we're not going to just let you run free. But we're not shoving you in the water.
I guess there's never been any discussions between the United States and Mexico to say, hey, how do we figure this shit out to where your people's not getting hurt and this craziness is not continuing?
Well, that's a great question. I think you're going way beyond my knowledge of this topic. I don't know, and I think that's probably an easy topic to research as far as, I know the whole Trump's wall and the president of Mexico were firing back and forth at each other over it, and the Mexican president didn't want it. And
why?
Because I guess he was okay with his citizens leaving. I don't know.
Gotcha.
It didn't make any sense, and of course, Donald's pledged to make Mexico pay for it, and that got taken out of context, and it just became this huge thing. And
that would have been fucking awesome.
And and I think he meant through like taxes and tariffs versus. It's not like he expected them to write him a check or Venmo him or something like that. But
how many pesos is that shit?
Yeah, it's a lot, by the way.
A lot of fucking pesos.
That is a lot. From somebody who's spent some time down in Cabo, when you pay in pesos, it's a lot.
It's a lot of
fucking pesos. The
fucking
first time
pesos.
somebody looked at me for like I think it was a golf shirt in the pro shop at a course, and they're like, that'll be 2,265 pesos.
Like for a t-shirt?
It's like, dang.
Or for a polo?
Yeah, I was like, this shirt
it's really $6. Yeah. Oh, okay, here you go.
It's seriously, it ended up being like $28 or something. So I don't think it would do any good to talk with Mexico about it because for some strange reason they just don't seem to give a shit.
They don't want to play ball.
They just do their thing, and whether it's because of the cartel, whether it's because of whatever. People laugh when we talk about cartel, but it's a deal down there. It's serious, and they're dealing with that, and they're all this stuff. So I think they're just saying, look, if you want to pass through or you want to leave, go ahead.
Go ahead.
But anyway, enough about that. Again, that's kind of where we're at, and we will talk about it further as things go on, and maybe we'll have some of our other brilliant suggestions. Hopefully something can get solved, but it just ends up being a pissing match again. So.
Yeah. So
anyway,
I ran across another story today that is kind of on that same road as far as borders are concerned. Another border, not our country. Not our country.
Love it. So I'm tired of talking about our country borders.
So this is about a U.S. soldier by the name of Travis King, private second class. So Mr. King had been locked up for 2 months. I thought it was a little longer than that. Anyway, it was locked.
Did that change the whole story? You're
let's skip this story. No. So he was locked up for 2 months in South Korea. In a prison in South Korea. And I'm trying to find it real quick what he did.
We love our South Korean listeners.
Says he kicking a cop car. Oh. So basically he was in South Korea, ends up kicking a cop car, and so they locked him up for a couple months.
For like literally just kicking a car?
Kicking a cop car. So where it gets fun is, so basically they went to go pick him up and bring him back to Fort Bliss. So they're bringing him to the airport, bringing him into customs, yada, yada, yada. And Mr. King decides he wants to go ahead and flee.
Oh, okay. So hold on. Let me catch up. So they're going to bring him back.
So they're going to bring him back to Fort Bliss.
He was in South Korean jail and probably in Seoul, right?
It just says...
In South Korea.
South Korea, yes.
He's in jail, and he's served his time, or America or the United States is saying, all right, we'll take him back.
So he served his 2 months.
Time. Yeah, 2 months.
So
kicking a car. Look, Trey, you kick cars every Saturday. So they served his time, 2 months, and now they're going to
bring him back.
The United States is saying, we're coming back to Fort Bliss, which is that Kansas? Where's that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I'll look. We're so
America,
prepared.
right?
Yeah, we're so prepared.
They're going to bring back, and I guess they said they're going to take military action at that point because, of course, he got in trouble in South Korea for kicking cop cars, so he got arrested. So they're bringing him back. So,
by the way, this isn't our home state.
Right.
It's in Texas.
I now see that in the story.
Okay.
Fort Bliss, Texas.
I thought that might have been the case, but go ahead.
So instead of getting on a plane to be taken back, he left and joined. Sorry, I have to laugh about this. Joined a tour of the Korean border village of, God damn it, Panmunjom.
Right.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, Panmunjom.
Where he ran across the border. So I don't know if you know what's across the border, but it's actually
the
North Korea.
Whoa.
So he fled.
What?
South Korea.
And Panmunjom is the border of South Korea,
South Korea, North Korea.
So he didn't go like west. He went north.
He went straight into North Korea.
Oh, but did he know?
I don't know.
Or was it an accident?
Like his mother came out denying that he's trying to flee, saying she desperately just wants him to return. I'm so proud of him. Blah, 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 whatever.
Apparently, we don't care what the mom thinks.
Yeah. Well, all the family members. Well, he was a love. Right. Everybody loved him. He was an angel.
He would never do something like this.
So, sorry. Again, everybody's saying I can't see Travis doing this. Well, he did. Right. So yeah.
But the question is, do we think he did it with intent? I mean, he didn't want to deal with military discipline, but how bad could it be versus North Korea?
I can't. I can't think what we're doing here is going to be worse than North Korea.
I would think he might get a slap on the wrist or at worst some sort of a discharge that maybe he doesn't, dishonorable, don't they call it whatever they call that?
Dishonorable discharge?
Yeah, whatever.
I would think that would be what the worst of it.
And I know that's a lot of, and for our military, that's very shameful. And it's very, it's not good. But North Korea, I
don't get it. So
yeah, we're still waiting on that first North Korean listener, by the way.
It hasn't happened yet?
No.
Maybe they're using a VPN in Iowa.
Exactly. that is all of our Iowa listeners.
We got 8,000 Iowa listeners. They're all using
underground North Koreans.
VPN from North Korea.
Yeah. It was on their list. Yeah.
Oh, so
okay. Well, so we don't know. I mean, at this point, we're just waiting and seeing. We don't know where he is, what happened. He's just gone.
So what they're saying, it says the American-led UN command said he is believed to be in North Korean custody, and the command is working with the North Korean counterparts to resolve the incident. Says North Korea's state media didn't immediately report on the border crossing. So,
no shit. North Korea doesn't report on anything.
Cases of Americans or South Koreans defecting to North Korea are rare. Well, no shit.
Yeah, that seems. Anyway,
says though more than 30,000 North Koreans have fled to South Korea to avoid political oppression.
I would think that'd be even more.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, hopefully this gentleman knew what he was doing, and we'll get some good news. But I don't know.
Is he doing some Rambo shit? You think
I don't know. Or what if he made a deal with one of those guys to take him in or something,
just to hang out?
We're just saying, hey, come here, just to kind of stick it to the American military or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of any possible reason he would escape into North Korea.
Right. Wouldn't it be crazy if we see the next interview with Kim Jong-un and
he's just chilling there.
Chilling next to him, eating some grapes or something?
He's just like right-hand man. He's just chilling.
Eating a sandwich, drinking wine or whatever the fuck. Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was interesting, actually escaping into North Korea.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like we're giving some stories tonight that we're going to have to follow up on.
Yeah. Oh, shit. I didn't think about that.
No, but in a good way. It's kind of like, okay, now I really want to know what happened to this guy. But
hopefully, we do get a follow-up on that, see what happens to this idiot. So
I love the respect for our military dumbass. No, he is. That's pretty stupid.
Just come back 2 months in jail in South Korea, and then you're going to come back, face the music, but no, you're going to run into North Korea.
Yeah, and again, he kicked a cop car. This isn't like he's coming back to the United States and dealing with some sort of
because of a proud
shaming.
Moment.
He's not shaming the United States. In fact, probably a lot of people in the United States are like, haha, you kicked a cop car. Again, I mean, you're used to that.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, the only way that my next little thing here I wanted to get to relates to that story at all is the fact that it has to do with somebody in South Korea.
I see how you're linking all this up.
I mean, come on. That's what we do.
That's why you make the big bucks.
Right. So this story is real fast, but it just felt, Trey, I'm going to joke around. It just felt kind of like a little bit of a hit piece on the United States and our intellect. So real quick, there's a pair of course there are two, because they were identical twins.
Oh, okay. That's
so
usually
two of them, and they were born in Seoul, in South Korea.
Okay.
In 1974. At age 2, they were separated because of. I'm not laughing. I have kids. I hope this doesn't happen to me next week with one of my kids. But they were separated in apparently like a grocery store.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and there are too many people, and they couldn't find the one of them, and that was it. And then somebody.
They didn't kidnap
some sort
them?
of authorities. And some sort of authority found the child and couldn't find the parent, and then she was in a foster home or in one of those agencies and being held. And then an American family, which is more and more common these days, came and adopted her.
Gotcha.
And so they both grew up as twins on the opposite side of the world. One was in the United States and one was in South Korea. So in 2018, the American child, twin, if you will, submitted a DNA test to South Korea's. They have a reuniting program for relatives.
Of course.
It's nice of them.
Yeah.
And
I think I sent mine over there too, just to make sure.
If you have any South Korean relatives.
Might as well.
But they found not only, obviously, she had a twin, but she had an older brother and an older sister.
Oh, damn.
She found all of these people.
That sucks.
And they do all this cognitive testing and whatever on them, and they're very, very curious about that, the links. And
a lot of probing.
A lot of probing. And there's a claim that says that the IQ of the one that grew up in the United States was 16 points lower than the one in South Korea. And immediately I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, I got defensive. I was like, I am behind this this American South Korean twin. All
so
100%.
Our American twins working at a fast food chain, and the Seoul Korea twins are all doctors.
We'll get this. The U.S. twin apparently had 3 concussions.
Oh, of course.
And they're saying that may have something to do with her cognitive ability. Okay,
she runs around in circles and slobbers now.
She's but growing up in America made her dumber.
Holy shit!
So I started. And the one thing that was really interesting, Trey, they both had tumors on their ovaries removed at one point in their lives when they were in their 20s. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
The coincidence there. I mean, I guess that you have some things as a twin that were the same. So I started looking about. I was very curious about. I always thought IQ was something you were born with, right?
I would have assumed, yeah.
Yeah. And so I looked, and I wanted to see if that was true, and apparently it's kind of true. It's 57 to 73% is kind of the average for heritability.
Okay.
Which has something to do with, I'm assuming, the word heredity.
Yeah.
Of IQ. And so while that's higher, it's not as high as I thought. And it said it gets up to 80%, which is a lot.
So I can't blame it on my parents anymore? Is that what you're saying?
No. Well, you can blame it on the upbringing.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, so it's a combination of your parents, their intellect, and the way they brought you up.
Shit.
So it got me thinking, okay, I didn't know there was any leeway on this. And apparently it's 20 to however many % chance that you do improve your IQ or not improve your IQ as you're growing. So that was an interesting story. And again, I felt like I was all defensive, and I just thought it was interesting. I was like, what? People think we're stupid, and it's getting annoying.
How did she end up with the concussions? Did they ever say that?
3 of them. What was she? Did she play? Was she like hockey? Or did she play? Was she a horseback? Maybe
run into some walls because she wasn't paying attention. I mean...
But so I don't know when the concussions were. They said it was, it wasn't that long ago. She was an adult, but that could be, it could have been any time.
Right.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting, and it tied in well with yourself. We're talking about a lot about South Korea tonight.
Yeah.
How about we do our? We'll start wrapping up the show. We'll do our 2 bits. The first one is the fun facts or weird facts or strange facts or whatever that make us feel like we're in the Twilight Zone. What do you have?
I thought I would kind of gear this around your love of insects.
Oh, God. Okay. We're going to do it's summertime in Texas, so that works.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to do an insect fun fact.
I got about 4 or 5 of these.
Oh,
so should be some interesting or gross you out, one or the other.
I can't wait.
So the first one is, it says, there are tiny mites that live on human skin, even faces. It says these microscopic follicle mites called demodex are known to live in human eyelashes, eyebrows, pores, and hair follicles.
Oh.
It said they are truly tiny.
You think microscopic?
The 8-legged worm-like creatures are so small they can't be seen without a microscope.
Wait, they're 8 legs and worm-like, and they're that tiny?
Exactly.
Oh.
Said the mites live and breed in pores, laying their eggs and feeding on human skin. Does that sound fucking awesome?
And they could be in my eyelashes?
Yeah, it seems around all the hair and shit. Hair follicles, eyebrows.
I'm going to shave tomorrow.
Pores.
Tomorrow you can see I'm going to be totally shaved. I mean, bald, no eyebrows,
like
no
Lex
nothing.
Luthor,
yeah,
you know.
No nothing. You're like, what? Well, at least I'm not getting these assholes on me.
These mites are done.
Yeah.
So
they're mites, huh? Wow. And they're just on us at all.
Isn't that
right now, you're
gross?
saying we've got them on.
Yeah, on us right now. So you're gonna start itching now. Something's gonna tickle your face. You're like, shit.
Not gonna be able to sleep tonight, Trey.
I
Thank
haven't slept in 3 days.
My wife's gonna wake up. What's wrong? The mites. The mites are on us.
Me.
In fact, you better be careful
Yeah,
too.
the mites are on you too. Anyway, so the next one is butterflies will drink blood, sweat, and tears.
What? That sounds like an album
beautiful
title.
Little butterflies. So it says, if given the chance, those delicate butterflies would drink human bodily fluids. Oh, that sounds disgusting. Said they're known to do something called mud puddling, and that kind of sounds fun, mud puddling.
Yeah. It sounds like you have a ATV in the mud, kind of.
In this one, they hover over pools of liquid to determine if it contains nutrients they need. Human blood, sweat, and tears all contain a large number of valuable nutrients.
Oh. Is it... Well, I can see blood. I guess I can see this. Maybe the sweat, the tears. So what about like urine?
Doesn't say anything.
Doesn't say. Why am I immediately going to? I'm like, what about the urine?
No pee-pee. So.
No pee-pee. Do we have any other fluids?
Well,
we
have some that we know the ants
enjoy.
We know
the ants enjoy. All right, the ants are soaking that up.
Ants have cornered that market.
Yeah, people that don't know what we're talking about, ants seem to like semen.
Yes.
So we'll move on right away.
So the next one is going to be very near and dear to our
real quick
heart.
though. Butterflies in blood, they're so like.
They're supposed to be pretty and stuff like that, but they're really sucking on blood.
Okay, go ahead.
So they may team up with this next one.
All right.
So mosquitoes have 47 teeth.
How is that even possible?
Right. I'm sitting here looking at the picture, and I can't imagine.
So they did a close, like
close of
close
hair.
up. Oh, my
For
God.
all of our listeners, you can't see me, but I'm pointing my phone at Ryan right now.
Yes, that's interesting. But I thought they had a little. Remember we talked about mosquitoes, and I thought it was a little thing they stabbed you and sucked.
That's what it looks like in this picture. So
there's teeth in that.
Well, let me read this real quick.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up.
All right.
While mosquitoes do have teeth, it's most likely not the kind of smile you're thinking of. What? Hold on. Let me reread that because that didn't fucking make sense.
Okay.
While mosquitoes do have teeth, it's most likely not the kind of smile you're thinking of. Is this shitty writing, or am I just not understanding?
I think what they're saying is that it's not like you and I smile
and you see those
horizontally
pearly whites?
and you see the teeth. I think
okay.
what they're saying is maybe they're placed differently or something.
Okay, so it says rather the so-called teeth of the mosquito are the small dagger-esque serrations.
Sure.
It's a big word.
What?
That run along the insect's. Oh my God, proboscis.
Okay.
The long needle-like appendage. Why can't they just fucking use that? The long needle-like appendage the bug uses to suck blood.
Okay. Yeah.
The serrations help the mosquito cut through and pierce the skin to get the meal beneath.
So they're saying that the long thingy
has the teeth on it.
That has the teeth on it, and that actually helps to penetrate.
Good. I'm glad you were listening because I still don't fucking understand. But
okay.
yeah, that makes sense to me.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, they've got to have something to penetrate through the skin. Because the skin. Okay. Yeah, I'm on board.
Does that make sense to you?
It doesn't make it any more pleasant when they bite you, but.
No, not at all.
And we'll remind you guys one more time: it's the females that bite us.
The females.
Yep. The males are chilling
jacking
elsewhere.
stuff up. So let's go to the next one. This one is kind of disgusting. There is an acceptable amount of bug parts and rodent hairs to food ratio.
Yes. See, I know this
as outlined by the FDA. You already knew about that?
I know this one because I went to, I had to take entomology in college.
Okay.
So I knew some of this. He didn't talk about the teeth on them, all that shit. He talked about the food and how the FDA has to, or else it's impossible because there's...
Oh, it's too hard to keep it out.
Too hard to keep it out. And so
it's fucking disgusting.
It is. And so he did a thing one day, and I'll never forget him. His name
is your professor?
Professor.
Okay.
Dr. Gold. And he was an elderly man. He'd been teaching at A&M entomology for so many years. And he did a thing where he did a lecture hall. It was like 200 people. It wasn't a small class at all. And he had the huge screen and he slideshows, slides and all that. And whenever it got a little loud, people started kind of talking. He had a fake hip, and he would like squeak his hip, and everyone was like,
shit!
And then everybody shut the fuck up. It was the best. It was so great.
Oh shit!
And everybody shut up. And
That's
you're like,
crazy.
okay. And he said, and you just keep going. And it was so funny. But he did an event one day, and he said, I'm gonna bring in some bug food that I made. There will be cricket brownies.
Okay.
Like literally.
Okay.
Brownies made with crickets.
I would try that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's disgusting, but go ahead. That's half the class was like, I'll try it.
Yeah.
He did fire ant quesadillas.
I don't know if I would try that.
He did...
that sounds interesting.
There are a couple of things. So he did a bunch of different ones, and he brought them all in. He baked them up. I guess if your life is entomology, you've learned some recipes over the years.
I'm curious how many... Like how filled of bugs is it? Was he trying to prove a point with the acceptable amount?
Well, what he was proving was, and then on the other side of the desk, he said, anybody that doesn't want to try this, I brought you breakfast.
Here's a Whataburger.
It was more like Nutri-Grain bars or stuff you get at the store.
Gotcha.
So, of course, the point is, as soon as everybody's chowing down on everything, he goes, by the way, there's the same amount of insects.
Oh, I see where you did that.
It's not as visible. I mean, you can see cricket legs and shit. And for me, that was.
You didn't try it?
No, that was my nightmare. In fact, the girl next to me, I'm like, well, I'm kind of full. Like,
can you imagine her burping? You see a little cricket leg fall out. Oh,
but she goes. You don't want to try any of this? And I was like, I was trying to be manly, but I wasn't. Yeah, I was like, this Nutri-Grain bar is fine.
As you're dry heaving.
Yeah. So he said, here, see what he did. This is the same. And so there's some sort of law and rule that there can be a certain amount in the food. It's really gross.
Well, let me go into that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
I didn't mean to get off on that story. I just thought it applied.
No, that worked perfectly. It's almost like we planned that.
That's what we do here at Standing. We actually did not.
We did not plan that. Yeah. While we all like to believe that our food products contain absolutely no traces of insects or rodent hairs, the reality is far from it. Even the FDA, the governing body that sets the standards for food safety, has an acceptable ratio of food to insects and rodent.
God,
I like to say rodent hairs, not rodents, but rodent hairs.
Yeah, they don't allow a foot or a tail or.
It says the FDA allows for 225 insect parts to 225 grams of macaroni. For tomatoes, it's even worse, with an acceptable ratio of 10 fly eggs per tomato product.
I knew there's a reason I didn't like tomatoes. I don't eat tomatoes.
Shit. So here's the last one, and I saved the best for last because it had the best caption to it. It says, "Cockroaches."
Oh, come on!
Will eat human flesh.
I thought
the chance.
I thought I got through this without the roach thing.
Yes. So it says, if you ever get a roach infestation, act quickly. If you don't want to be bitten, it turns out
by a roach.
Yeah. Turns out cockroaches are omnivores, which means they eat plants and meat. Although they are more likely to take bites of fingernails and eyelashes while picking at food remnants of dead skin. Sorry. So they've also been recorded to bite feet and hands.
That's disgusting.
So yeah,
because you always hear the whole there's food and they'll eat anything. That's what you hear about these guys, and just the idea that there's a reason for them to be on you when you're not aware of it.
So is the FDA, dumb question, FDA is only in America, right? Yes. FDA is worldwide.
Well, I'm sure they have their own all over the place.
So I'm curious what their standards are worldwide.
Yeah, maybe like if one place is really strict and one place is like, who gives a shit? Just whatever.
As long as it's cooked, then they'll be fine.
I don't know.
The snakehead.
It's a good question. Yeah, the snakehead, or even your encounter with the roaches in your fries.
Oh, in the cheese fries.
Yeah. See, my God. I won't probably go to Hooters ever. I mean, seriously.
That ruined it for you.
I drove by every time I drive by Sonic now. I'm just like, like, fuck you. I get angry. I'm like, screw you, Sonic. Like, you need to care about this.
And this, even though this was probably close to 25 years ago,
no, I don't care.
Hopefully, their standards have gotten better.
Yeah, I don't care. That guy that came out and didn't care. I hope bad things happened to him.
I hope he stubbed his toe on the way back.
There you go,
bastard.
Yeah, well, that was fun. That was.
I thought you would enjoy that. I know how much you like the insects.
Yeah, for somebody who's not a fan of insects, but there's so many. What I learned in that entomology class, there's so many weird ass things in that kingdom, if you will. That whole, just the amount of insects, the amount of types of it. It's just crazy in the way that they reproduce and eat, and it's just wild.
So was this a required class, or were you trying to face your fears?
No, and again, I'll make it really quick. It's funny. There's
a cute girl signing up for the class, and you're like, yeah.
No, I transferred in. I had to take a semester worth of junior college classes here in Dallas.
Okay.
Before I went to A&M, because I went back as a non-traditional aged student. Went a little
No
older.
shit.
I went a little bit older. I went at 26, 27, something like that.
40.
No, 27. And so I had an advisor, and he brought me in, and he goes, "Oh, you already had this English class. I didn't realize that. Let's get it switched out. You're an English major, right? An English and education. So guess what?
You can learn more about bugs.
You don't need to have a lot of no. You don't have to have a lot of science, but you do need a 3-hour science class that doesn't have a lab attached to it. Well, there's not a bunch of those.
Oh, okay.
And he goes, "Oh, we'll throw you in entomology. Dr. Gold's great." And I didn't at the time.
Squeaky hip.
At the time, I didn't know what entomology even meant. I was just like, "Okay, that sounds great." No, whatever. And then I looked up and I go, "Okay, well, oh God, entomology." And he goes, "Oh, it's just a class on insects."
Ah.
And he said my whole face went pale, like totally white, because I eventually told him.
I can imagine.
And he said, "Should I not do that?" I said, "No. I was trying to be. No.
I'll be all right.
I'll be good."
What was that?
So that's how it happened, and I really enjoyed the class itself.
I bet it was fun
learning about it, seeing on the slides. But when they pass around the collections, and here's an example, and you had to open it and look at these things. I was unaware that my university had the third most extensive insect collection, if you will, in the world.
Really? That's impressive.
And I'm so proud of you guys. That's fantastic.
Sitting in your dorm room, freaking out.
Anyway, well, that was fun. Let's do self-awareness before we go.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Tonight, mine are simple. Do you have any tonight? You just want me to vent?
I'm sure I'll okay. Take my.
This is one that got me literally today. And I brought my 3-year-old. We all met him on the show to a grocery store to get a few things, and he wanted a fucking cake pop after school. And,
well, of course,
if he doesn't get a cake pop, he loses his shit. And I said, "Well, it's Starbucks that's attached to the store, so I'll grab myself a coffee." It all worked out, and we needed a few things. And we go in there,
cake pops, I love them.
And you would, and we're checking out at the self checkout, by the way. But we didn't have a lot this time, so Trey would not have been too angry with me. But this guy walks by us, and he looks and the trash can that's just beyond our cart, and he spits straight into the trash can. Like maybe the trajectory of this wad was like 1.5 feet away from my son. And it's just gross. And I'm like, dude, and it just reminded me, like, people that just spit everywhere, or when people are around you. I get it if you especially if you dip or something. I don't know.
Which is fucking disgusting too.
Yeah, it's gross. But people that smoke, and I know people that do it, and it's just like, come on. Like, people are walking around in this. It's on their shoe.
Look around before you.
Yeah, I get it. If something's gross and you just got to do it, then walk away and take care of it, or the restroom or something. But this guy's just like, it was nothing. Just spit around and things flailing through the air.
Did he at least apologize or anything?
No,
or just,
of course not. He just walked right away, and I kind of stood there a second. I'm like, and I looked at the young lady who was working there, and I said, "Did he just spit in the trash can?" And she literally goes, "You'd be surprised how many people do." And I was like, what? Anyway, so that's the one. I just don't spit when people are right there. It's gross. It's.
I hate to say, but I am a spitter.
Oh God.
I try to be aware.
You're a spitter, but you won't wipe your workout equipment.
Yeah, and I try to be aware. I don't spit just randomly, just crazy places. But yeah, it's like my mouth is watering right now just because we're talking about spit.
Why do you feel the need to spit?
I don't know. It's weird. Like I'll be riding the bike, all of a sudden I spit.
I don't know. When it's something athletic or that's different, I guess.
Yeah.
Baseball players and all that, spit.
When I'm in the gym, I don't feel the need to spit or anything like that. I guess it's an outdoor thing.
Maybe it is an outdoor thing, but this is the point. I can deal with that a little more if you're on a field or you're on the outside in the wilderness.
Oh shit! I just realized maybe that's why I'm not getting the second date.
Because you're.
See, I never thought about it that way.
You're learning so much about yourself on the show.
Self-awareness. Boom.
But that I just couldn't, and along those same lines, people that sit there and they like bite their nails and then they spit it out.
Oh.
I don't understand these people. And I saw that the other day too. It was at like I think it honestly was also a different coffee shop, but another coffee shop. People just sitting there. And I watched this guy and I was fascinated. I was like, this guy's really gonna. And he's a guy, and I not that that's a big deal. I just always thought that was more of a female thing.
I got another one now that you just mentioned that.
Yeah, here we go. See, you just need to light the fire here.
This is a friend of ours that used to do this shit. He'd get in my car, and we'd be driving along. All of a sudden, you see him digging for gold. Hand halfway up his nose.
Oh God!
And he does one of those things where he's rubbing his two fingers together, and then all of a sudden you see him start flicking.
Like, oh no!
I'm like, come on, man! Roll the window down. Here's some Kleenex.
So it's not about the flicking; it's about he's literally flicking in your car.
Yes, and the window is up, and he's just flicking.
Is this who I think?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. So
we love you, buddy, but Jesus Christ,
what the fuck? So that annoys the shit out of me. Especially you were outside. Pick your fucking nose on your way to my car and get rid of it.
I don't like nose stuff. I don't boogers and snot. I mean, that's the one thing. Like with my kids, I get it, and their DNA is my DNA, all that bullshit. I'll change their diapers,
but you're not sitting there playing with the boogers,
But that's the one thing, though, the boogers and the snot that I could do without, maybe the least, or the most. Do without the most, Is that I don't like snot and boogers.
No.
So for a grown man to sit in your car.
And flick it.
Nose and flick it, but not even out the window. Just roll
the window down. It's right there next to you.
You can even probably crack it like 1/3 of the way.
I literally started carrying Kleenex in my car, and it's almost like he was trying to be secretive about digging in his fucking nose. I'm like, here's a Kleenex here.
This gentleman is not secretive about anything that he does
at all.
And he might think he is, but he's not.
He's not.
So, okay, well that's a good one. And then I've got one more. This one's a little bit less gross.
Okay.
It's just kind of funny, and this might be one of those instances where you go, Ryan, this is a little over the top. If you met these dicks that are there,
if you met these dicks
just anywhere, have you seen these dicks that are walking around whistling like it's their job, like it's their career? They are the best whistler in the world, and to their credit, some of them are quite powerful. They have a powerful whistle.
Are they wearing little helmets and stuff? Riding the special bus? No,
I don't need to. I don't need to hear it.
You don't need to hear their talent.
I literally couldn't hear my 3-year-old, who's loud, what he was asking me because this douche over here
just sitting there whistling,
was whistling. In the same aisle, he's picking out shampoo and shit.
Was he whistling to the song they were playing in the store?
I don't. You couldn't hear anything but the whistle. I don't know.
How do you not record this?
I didn't have time, but I'm just sitting there going, I appreciate that you can whistle, but my God, I don't need to hear it.
Chill for a minute.
And I swear I went like 4 rows away and I could still hear it like in the background. The whole store. Everybody in the store could hear this guy. But
you should have asked him, say, can you eat a few crackers and see if you can still whistle like that?
How about some peanut butter?
There you go. Figure this out.
Yeah. So that was kind of my lighter one. But
that's pretty funny.
Really, don't just. If people are right next to you, don't whistle, especially if you have a powerful whistle.
We get it. You're awesome.
This guy had a powerful
whistle. Let me ask, as far as the age range, what do you think he was? Middle age, young?
Oh, no, he was a little bit older than middle age. I would say he was in his 50s or 60s.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only ones that learn how to whistle.
Wouldn't that be funny if he's deaf and didn't realize how loud that is? Yeah. And then you feel like an asshole now.
You don't run into many like 16-year-olds that are just fucking whistling.
Yeah, no.
It's all these older guys, and I don't know if they do it when they're bored or.
I'm trying to think if I ever whistle. I don't think I ever do.
I can do it and it's okay, but it's not like it wasn't like this. I mean, this was precision.
This was a pro.
This was, he wasn't off key. He was every note was it was like
wow.
Perfect. He was very good.
Impressive.
And I might tune in to hear that somewhere else, but not 3 feet away from my ears.
I can just picture this in the store though, just this little man sitting there whistling.
And I was just kind of looking on my shoulder, and then of course my 3-year-old's like, "What is that man doing?" Like,
did he ever make eye contact with you? With his whistle?
No. I think he might have been maybe he was deaf, Trey.
In his own world.
But because I whistle very rarely have I whistled around my 3-year-old, and so he doesn't really know. He's just kind of, what's that? What's he doing? What's going on? And I was like, shh, be quiet.
Awesome.
And then I said, why am I shushing him? Yeah. Like, this guy can't hear shit.
He's not hearing anything from that fucking whistle. So, yeah.
So those are mine tonight.
That was good.
Do you have any others?
I don't. I can't think of anything that
nobody's pissed you off.
Oh, well, there's plenty of people that piss me off.
Well, that's good. We'll save them because we're going to do self-awareness, awareness of self-awareness every show because it's fun to yell at people.
There's about people that pisses off.
It's fun to yell about people. But anyway, we'll stop. I don't think we need to go any further.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think I'm good.
Do we have any more stories about South Korea tonight?
No, I think we're good. We told 2 stories about South Korea.
We did. Should you and I add that to our world tour?
South Korea?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? It's not North. It's not North Korea.
Don't kick a cop car.
Can you imagine the guy? Well, we like this one podcast, Stay in the Gray, but they kicked a cop car in Seoul, South Korea.
Yeah.
They're locked up for a while.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, but all right.
I do want to know what was going through that man's head that made him decide running into North Korea was the best solution. So
I still think he might have thought he was. Well, no, because he knows where Seoul. I mean, he knows where he is, right? He didn't think he was going to like Mongolia or whatever the other border state is over there. The country.
Maybe he was hungry and he heard about a good fast food place. And
right.
Like, let me run over here.
I've heard North Korea has great dining establishments. All right. We'll see you next time.
Later.
Love you guys.
Just sitting here thinking how cool it would be to do a 69 with no gravity.
Or what about the car wash from the hazing?
There we go.